Matt Patricia continues doing what's needed to make an immediate impact at Ohio State.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Buckeye fans, to your Monday edition of Locked On Buckeyes, which is your daily Ohio State podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, veteran sports talk host, delivering passionate coverage about your Buckeyes. And today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com. for 50% off your first year. During today's show, we'll discuss what Sonny Styles had to say about Matt Patricia's unique way of coaching, as well as if what players are saying about Patricia is their way of talking bad about Jim Knowles. But first, when Matt Patricia got hired by Ryan Day, it was very clear that there are a lot of people out there that thought it was the wrong hire. People are going back into his past at Detroit. People are going back to the 90s to describe Patricia, the coach, his way of ruffling some feathers with players and even some legal matters that he had to say, hey, Ryan Day, that's not the wrong guy. And ultimately, it resulted in a bad narrative about Matt Patricia. Well, Matt Patricia could have heard all of that, could have read all of that and said, I'm going to allow that to consume me and impact how I impact these players at Ohio State. But he didn't do that. He put his foot down. He got to work. He figured out how to make an immediate impact to these guys in one-on-one settings, getting personal, making sure the way he is teaching is perfect for every player on the defense at Ohio State. And I love it. The narrative out there, it was a real one. People bought into it. But there was another narrative that had a longer track record that was more positive, and that's the one that I believe you should buy into, and the players, they're buying into that, and they got firsthand experience about how Patricia is going to coach those boys this year. Because trust me, it would have been very, very easy for Patricia or even Ryan Day to allow the negativity surrounding Matt Patricia to impact the hire, stay away from him, or to impact the narrative once he got on campus. Hey, so we hired you. We believe you're the right guy, but you still got to prove something to us. And if that but was a thing where he still had to prove something to him, it probably would have been the wrong hire. But that wasn't the case. Patricia came in, got to work. Patricia came in, figured out the lay of the land, figured out what it means to be a Buckeye. Now, you can only do so much in the spring as far as knowing what it means to be a Buckeye, because you ain't been on the sidelines for Ohio State versus Texas week 1. You haven't been on the sideline for a Big Ten game. You definitely haven't been on the sideline for the game. So there's only so much you can learn about being a Buckeye right now, but you got to buy in, buddy. You got to buy in from day one. Patricia has done just that, especially some things he has done are not just buying in, but also making an impact on players like Payton Pierce. And Payton Pierce had a lot of good things to say about Matt Patricia and what Patricia has done in a 2-week span there in Columbus, Ohio. Quote, man, I really like Coach Patricia a lot. It's what can he do for you, not what can you do for him. And he's just trying to serve and help. And I've learned so much football in this past 2 weeks, more than I've learned in my whole lifetime. So it's been great having him. He's a good coach, and he teaches. And he's talking to me on the mic, telling me what I see and stuff. And it's just, I feel like I'm getting a lot smarter and processing things a lot faster, end quote. And this was something he said back in March or so. There was a period of time, a 2-week span, where Payton Pierce got to learn a lot. I mentioned Payton Pierce's comment because Payton Pierce is a guy that didn't play a whole lot last year. Was maybe the 4th or 5th linebacker at Ohio State in last year's rotation. But this year, if Alvaro Reese goes to the edge and CJ Hicks needs a break, who's the next man up? Payton Pierce. If you want to talk about a guy that's a second-year player, maybe third-year player, forget exactly how long he's been there, but a guy that's been hyped up on the recruiting trail in high school, has allowed that to help him once he got to Ohio State, but he's not allowing that to fuel him while he's in Columbus, and all he's trying to do is work and grind to make sure he's doing the right things. When you got a guy coming in that's been at the level you want to get to, and while he was at that level, he won the ultimate prize multiple times, that's enough for a guy like Payton Pierce to buy in and say, whatever that man's telling me to do, I got to do it. Whatever he is saying, I'm going to be all in on that, because him saying that right now is going to help me be a better player in the future, because he's coached a lot of great linebackers. He's coached a lot of great defenses in the NFL. He knows what he's talking about. It's very similar if now it's not going to happen, but let's just say Greg Popovich came to Ohio State and wanted to help out, not take over the team from Jake Diebler, but simply be an advisor, or Phil Jackson, or a Rudy Tomjanovich, or any of them greats, Dr. Jack Ramsey, any of them greats. What would you want to do? Soak up as much as you could. And if I'm Jake Diebler, and if one of them all-timers came in, a Pat Riley, came into the shot one day and said, hey, I want to teach you something. You know, the heat culture that we talk about all the time, and how they have different tests they have to pass, make sure that they're ready to play physically and mentally, ready to go for a game. We may not implement those here, but we can teach you what we do to help you build the best roster and get these guys in the best shape they can be in during the season. If I'm Jake Diebler, I'm soaking that in, buddy. Pat Riley comes in. Let's say Thad Matta comes back, just trying to help out a little bit. Now, Thad Matta's coaching at Butler, so he ain't going to leave his post in Indianapolis to come over to Columbus again and say, hey, let me help you a little bit. No, that's probably not going to happen, but coaches help coaches. Iron sharpens iron. And for the fact that Matt Patricia had all that experience, and he's bringing that to Ohio State, even with different teams than the Patriots, being with the Eagles and the Lions, even going back to when he was with Syracuse 20 plus years ago, all that experience is very, very valuable. Now, you could say, Jay, there are people out there right now that may be pushing back. Well, man, the college game is different than it was when Patricia was coaching at Syracuse. It's a whole lot different. You got the NIL, you got the transfer portal, you got the video game back out, you got so many distractions, you got online classes for some of these guys, you got so many things that's going to make these players feel some type of way and get in their feelings. Okay, that's reality. You know what hasn't changed? Football. The football's the same. The lines are the same. The dimensions are the same. Even Ohio Stadium is the same size. Now, there have been some renovations inside, but football is still football. So while there is a lot there's a lot left, right, north, south, east, west, trying to pull you in any which way to detour you from the task at hand, Patricia could simply look at that person and say, look, I understand that there are some things going on in the sport that are different than the last time I was here on a full-time basis. And that's true. But you know what also is true? Football ain't changed. You can say, man, it's more spread offenses now, and they pass it the ball more. Really? If you want to go back to the early 2000s, yeah, that was a different style of football at times. But what has come back? A impact on the quarterback slinging the rock. It goes in waves. Sometimes it goes up. Sometimes it goes down. But Patricia knows how to coach ball. It's football at the end of the day. In basketball, recently somebody was talking about asking Jeff Teague on his podcast if he thought that there would ever be more of a traditional big man again. He's like, well, yeah, I believe he said, yeah. It's a cycle. There's always going to be a need for a big man. Always. Now, the athleticism of a guy may be different. Like, there's not generally a great big man that's the same size and has the athletic nature of Shaq. Like, that's not normal, but you get the gist. It's a cycle. Football's going to be the same. Yeah, it's going to be different roles here and there, and money's going to be different, but it's still football. And Patricia is coaching football. He's made an immediate impact at Ohio State, and my man is quickly altering the narrative surrounding his name. While quickly surrounding a narrative surrounding his name, he's also done some things with his unique coaching style that have made an impact on Sonny Styles. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. When I started using Monarch, I realized just how much I was spending on food delivery. Now I budget smarter and save more. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for half off your first year. Thank y'all for tapping Locked on Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. Anytime a guy that's been at Ohio State multiple years opens up about a new coach, I am going to pay attention. I'm going to open my ears up as wide as they can go to make sure that I don't miss a syllable. And Sonny Styles opened up and talked about Matt Patricia, the coach. And as he is one of the 3 returning starters from last year's national championship winning team, his opinion holds a whole lot of weight. Patricia coming into this defense after winning the Natty and losing that kind of production might make him nervous, might make Patricia really think twice about some of the things he wants to do. But I don't think it has. I think it's actually fueled him to be the best D coordinator at Ohio State in 2025. Here is Sonny Styles on Matt Patricia and some things that have happened already that make Patricia a very unique coach. Quote, everything's very specific. There's no gray area on anything like that. Not saying Coach Knowles was like that before. Not at all saying that. His style was great, but super hands-on, super specific. Like, you could break down each and every part of our defense, and there's an exact rule for everything. So it's easy to understand where there's all these exact things that you could find them and you can study them, end quote. Caleb Downs also had some very interesting things about Matt Patricia. Quote, he is a really good teacher of the game. He makes everything simple for us to understand like that. And he's done a really good job just being there, being supportive to the new guys, and he's just meeting now. And he's done a great job evaluating everybody and seeing what everybody can do and trying to find ways to use everybody, end quote. The teaching aspect, figuring out ways to make things specific so there's no gray area, figuring out ways to make sure that it's easy for the players to understand where there's all these exact things you can find them and you can study them. I'm reading that quote once again. It's one that I'm like, oh, I've kind of started going my words because the flow is not there. However, I love what these guys are saying. And these 2 players specifically, Caleb Downs, who is a future first-round pick, and Sonny Styles, could be. I mean, at worst, he's a day 2 pick if he continues to progress at the rate that he's progressing. But these 2 guys are Buckeyes. Both of them. One born in the state of Ohio, the other one born down south. One played at Alabama, the other one has been at Ohio State, actually reclassified to come to Ohio State early. But the fact that he's saying there's no gray area, I believe is big. Because anytime I've gone to a new place and I've been a new person, a new employee, sometimes when there is a gray area with the way they're teaching me or the way that I'm trying to grasp some of the concepts that I'm just picking up along the way, if there's a gray area, man, it's confusing. It's very, very confusing. And the fact that these 2 guys are the guys that make these types of comments about Matt Patricia, it makes me eager to see these guys on the field week 1. Now, I'm already hyped for the game. I mean, there's 2 of the biggest brands in the sport, Texas, Ohio State, be down there in Austin next year for that game. And trust me, if you can find a way to get to that game next year, go. If you can find a way to get to that game this year, go. It's a once-in-a-lifetime thing. This is the second time in my lifetime, and I'm in my mid to late 30s at Ohio State and Texas. I've played in a home and home, just to give you a little concept about how rare this moment is. You got to believe this is going to be a big moment for Patricia, and it's going to be a big moment for the defense because simplifying everything is going to be very, very big for them. I remember, I think I was in college at this time, and there was a little changing of leadership, had a new president come in, and it was a very, very, very small college where in some colleges I didn't go to a big college, a big school, so I don't know when, like at Ohio State, when they went from one president to another, I don't know how that impacts the freshman or sophomore or junior. I don't know. I don't have the experience with that. However, I do know that in my situation, when it went from one president to another, there was an impact because it impacted me. The flow, the day to day, the different things that were being changed, and the different things that were being added, it impacted me on a regular basis. And one of my confusing things about this was some of the stuff was very gray. It wasn't a black and white. It was, yeah, some of it's figure it out. You're an adult now, so you got to figure things out on your own. However, there were some things that could have been black and white and just been very, very straight and not going right or going to the left, but very straight and narrow. However, it wasn't that way. It was very confusing. I've had jobs before and I sold cars. A lot of it was very, very cut and dry. Here's our road to the sale. I think we're 10 or 12 steps. I forget. Um, the first one started even before I talked to the individual that I was trying to sell a car to. The last one was happening well after the sale was complete. And so sometimes in the road to the sale, there were times that, okay, I got it. It's cut and dry. It's this step, this step, this step. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then there were times where there were some gray areas, and there were legit gray areas because you had to be a chameleon. You had to know how to adapt to someone who was trying to buy a diesel truck versus someone who's trying to buy a Corvette versus someone who's trying to buy an Altima versus someone that's trying to buy a Trailblazer. I mean, you're trying to mix and match, trying to be able to handle different types of clientele, and it's not the easiest to do if you've ever been in a position like that. It's not. However, that position, there's supposed to be some gray areas. When I was in school, there weren't supposed to be. Sometimes there were, but the times when there weren't supposed to be gray areas, there were, and it really was kind of confusing. Well, Patricia, he's trying to make sure there's no gray areas because imagine you're on the football field, week 1 against Texas. It's 2nd and 11 because there was a 1-yard loss on first down. 2nd and 11, there's 4:15 left in the game. Ohio State needs points. Simply points. They're down 3. They need points. 2nd and 11. And it was a 2nd and 11 because there was a 1-yard loss by the offense. Buckeyes have the defense right now on first down. 4:15 left. You're down 3. You need points. You also need to stop. If there is a moment where a player has a little bit of a gray area or a fuzzy thought about a call, that could lead to 2nd and 11 being a touchdown for the opposition, going up 10, game over. Where it could lead to 2nd and 11 interception, go down to the red zone, offense gets the ball in plus territory. First time they can touch the ball, score, you're up 4. And taking the moment for Patricia and him realizing, we're going to take the guesswork out of this, baby. Kind of like Game Time. They take the guesswork out of buying tickets, especially the last-minute tickets. They help you save some money and save up to 60% on those last-minute ticket purchases. Head to Game Time. You'll save money. It's a great way to get your tickets. Take the guesswork out of it. And if I'm a coach or if I'm a leader or now, not now, my son's about to be 1 year old. Oh, my goodness, it's going fast. And in a little less than 2 months, there's a major responsibility that my wife and I have when leading him. Yeah, there will be some gray area. Absolutely. But there will be some moments where we just got to be very cut and dry. Don't be a couple or parents that leave a lot of open space when there shouldn't be open space. No, tighten that bad boy up. Especially now when he is so young and he's going to be growing up and he's going to be able to talk and to run and do all those things where he needs some cut and dry directions. Be the leaders he needs us to be. Don't leave it up to gray area because that can lead to disaster. Not only in my son's life, but also for Buckeyes football players in the fall against Texas, against Grambling State, against Wisconsin, and against the team up north. Now, we talked a lot about how Payton Pierce, Sonny Styles, and Caleb Downs view Matt Patricia's coaching style, but is any of that their way of talking bad about Jim Knowles? I'll answer that question next. Thank y'all for tapping Locked On Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. So I know some of you have been seeing some of the different changes on the YouTube with the studio. Right here where my thumb is, this space will be filled in probably by the end of the month, waiting on something to come in and to get that there. Also where my hat is, right, my left thumb is. That was a good little placement there. The National Championship hat is going to be upgraded there. That space, the hat's not going anywhere, but that space will get something else in it. The picture my brother gave me for Christmas has a lot of former Buckeye greats on it, and looking to do some more stuff here with just upgrading the overall experience, both the audio and visual experience for the everydayers right here at Locked On Buckeyes. So we've talked a lot about Payton Pierce and Sonny Styles and Caleb Downs and how they view Matt Patricia and some of the things Patricia is doing as a coach. Is any of that their way of talking bad about Jim Knowles? Now, maybe this question might not be a good one to ask on a regular Monday in May, but since Jim Knowles has opened up about leaving Ohio State and some things that led to him reaching out to James Franklin at 5:06 in the morning, to him being asked to not be at the national championship celebration. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on with this man specifically that makes this a valid question to ask. As we go back and look at some things that happened during the spring, we're going to hear some things about Jim Knowles at times. And I don't view any of that as players talking bad about Jim Knowles. It's specifically their way of talking about Matt Patricia or the coach they're talking about during that conversation. I mean, it would be easy. I mean, it's not hard. You can go on Twitter or any social media platform and look at people who subtweet or make posts talking about somebody else without saying their name. It's very easy to find. I find it idiotic, stupid, silly to do stuff like that. I have never subtweeted anybody. Trust me, if I want to subtweet you, I will probably not do it. And if it comes to my mind to do it, I wonder what's happened to me. That stuff is so immature, so childish. If you got a problem with somebody, just go to them directly. Just trust me. There's so many ways to contact people right now in America, in the world, via social media. You can go to LinkedIn. You can go to various ways so you could. I mean, it's hard. It's easy to find certain things. If you really want to go to those links to talk to somebody, you could do it. I wouldn't suggest doing a lot of those things you're thinking about right now, but if you got a problem with somebody, go to them directly. Don't subtweet. And I don't believe this is their way of subtweeting Jim Knowles. Not at all. Jim Knowles made a career decision, which ultimately was also a financial decision. You're the highest paid D coordinator in the country. After winning the national championship, going back to your home state, yes, there were rumors that Knowles was going to go to Norman, Oklahoma to be an Oklahoma Sooners D coordinator next year or this year. A lot of that came out when people started talking about Jim Knowles' fiance being from Oklahoma. Okay, like that's a legitimate thing, and we all know that sometimes the wives or fiancés dictate career decisions for some of these coaches. I get it. Trust me. I talked to a coach. I heard about a coach recently that was changing jobs, and they said, well, he may stay in this area or be in this area because his wife likes it. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. But Jim Knowles, and the way that he left, and some of the stuff that comes out, it may put a bad taste in your mouth about Jim Knowles. I've had people text me some things about Jim Knowles that were not anything as far as threatening or anything like that. Trust me, I would shoot that down in a hot second. But people weren't happy when the Heather Dinich article came out and she was discussing an interview that ESPN had in regards to Knowles leaving. It wasn't fun to read at all. No. I mean, players are emotional. Players are also young. Players are developing themselves physically, mentally, emotionally, socially. There's so much development going on with these players that if they don't understand the business, which they truly can't understand it, but if they have a hard time grasping the business of coaching, that move could hurt. But think about where he went. He went to Penn State. The season before, about 12 months prior, about 14 months prior, Tony Alford went to the biggest rival. That hurts a whole lot more than Jim Knowles going to Penn State. Now, the situation was different, where Alford wanted some things contractually that didn't happen. Ended up going to Ann Arbor, which still, like, even seeing him in those colors, I'm not going to lie to you, it was a little weird. It was very weird to see that man wearing those colors. But that's how it goes. You win some, you lose some. They are not talking bad about Jim Knowles. They're praising Matt Patricia. I don't really think I heard people talking bad, players at least, talking bad about Tony Alford when they were praising Carlos Locklyn a year ago. No. It would have been easy too, 100%. But no, this is about Matt Patricia. One, making an immediate impact with the players. One, but it was about Carlos Locklyn a year ago, making an immediate impact with the players. Two, both those coaches figured out how to coach the guys that they're coaching. Locklyn, the RBs, Patricia, the entire defense. They figured out what it means to be a Buckeye as quickly as they could. Locklyn a year ago did a lot of homework on Ryan Day, did a lot of research before the interview, so he made himself the most likely candidate to get the job. Whereas when it comes to Patricia, he had to make sure that he made some different life decisions, as well as answer some questions about the Detroit Lions days and why he didn't coach last year and his time in Philadelphia. He had to do a lot of stuff too. Both of these coaches, I didn't know it's going to turn into a Locklyn and Patricia praise fest at the end of the show, but it's worth it because these guys have done the right thing over and over and over and over again. And if I am any of these guys, either of these guys, I got to feel good about my work. I also got to feel good about the guys that I'm coaching. I got to feel good about what's coming next in the future over the next few months, in the fall leading into the winter, believing that the Buckeyes have the goods on the coaching side and the players make another playoff push to potentially win back-to-back national championships for the first time in school history. They got to make sure they got everything right. Are the coaches talking bad about Jim Knowles? They could be. They know more than we know. There's some stuff that went down after the Oregon game. There's some stuff that definitely went down after the Michigan loss. And what happened? You realize what people are made of. You realize if this is the right place for some people or not, or maybe that person may realize maybe it's time for me to start looking elsewhere, even though we're trying to win a national championship. It's not fun talking about that stuff. It's also not fun speculating if these guys are talking bad about Jim Knowles. No, it's all about praising their new D coordinator. Yes, they're media trained, as they should be, because it would be very, very easy for guys their age to look out and say, well, somebody else out there on social media talking bad about the old D coordinator. I can do that too. But as I say all the time, and I was talking to somebody recently, I think it was Luke Braun of Locked on Vikings. I'll be on that show today. Go ahead and check that out. Talk about Donovan Jackson. Talking about the kind of guys that Ryan Day recruits. Because the question came up, and we were talking about Donovan Jackson, the person, and is he shy? Is he loud? Kind of leader is he? And we're talking about Ryan Day generally just gets good guys. I mean, Ryan Day finds the guys that have a few screws loose at times, but they're still good guys. I mean, if you play defense at any time at Ohio State, you're going to find a couple guys out there that got a few screws loose. You need those guys in a football team 100% of the time. You need somebody that's a little, what do they say, cuckoo, a little crazy a little times. Loco, is that the word? I don't know. You need guys like that. You need players that have a few screws loose, that aren't all the way there in the head. You need guys like that. But on the football field, they're like that. Off the field, they're good human beings. And that goes with the guys that Ryan Day is hiring too. They're good humans. They get what's needed. Patricia, Locklyn, they fit that description. Patricia has done a great job of altering the narrative about him. And when he got to Ohio State, he did what is needed to make an immediate impact on the guys he's going to be coaching over the next few years. Thank y'all for tapping Locked on Buckeyes, making this show your first listen of the day. For your second listen, check out the portal because my guy, Brian Smith, has the latest rumors, portal entries, and signings. Be the most informed fan on the rapid changes to the college football landscape. Find the portal and Locked on Buckeyes on the YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can follow me on any social media platform at jstevens07. Send every email to jstevens317@gmail.com. It's on Locked on Buckeyes right here on a Monday. We'll see you next time.